Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Bryan with another knife review for you. Today we have the Ruike P865-B, the super easy to remember number combinations that Ruike names their knives. That's sarcasm. I do wish they gave them names. But other than that, I love Ruike. And I'm really surprised it's taken me this long to review another one. Pretty early on in the channel, I reviewed this. The 801 SF, a lot of people have reviewed this. It is a pretty much universally loved knife by the entire knife community. You're looking at 30, 40 bucks for one of these things, and they are just fantastically done for that price. Just a beautiful, beautiful knife. It comes in this and also in like a, now they have a black wash version, which I've been tempted by, but I have not jumped on yet. But I have this one because when I first saw these, when they came out, I saw them on Knife News, and they came out with this and another model, which I have here. Also, this is the P848-B. We'll do a review of that too. But they came out with these two knives, and I thought, well, I really want those. And then I kept looking and looking and looking, and they just weren't available, and I just kind of forgot about them. And I did that video a while ago. I did a giveaway knife, a 2U knife, and I said, suggest my next knives. Someone suggested these two, and I was like, oh yeah, those. And I looked around, and they are available in the U.S. Now. Not in many places. I could only find them on gearforlife.com. I will link to them down below because very happy with my experience buying from them. Their prices are good. I got a free little beer koozie and stuff with it. So they know how to bribe me, and it was great. I paid full boat for them, but they sent me a nice little thing. It wasn't because I'm a YouTuber. They just do that, I guess. So pretty cool company, and I will use them again. Very happy with my service from them. But anyway, this particular knife, what struck me about it, why I liked it, is I like these slim little gentlemanly kind of folders. When we get the size comparison, I'll compare it to some other ones, but it's just a very slim knife. You're looking at well less than an inch height. Yeah, like I'm doing it down below where you guys can't see it. About yeah, the camera angle's not great on it, but only about 0.8 inches of height. It's a very slim little knife. Comes with a deep carry pocket clip. Very classy looking. I like the look of this blade. It's a Wharncliffe, which I used to say I don't like, but they're kind of growing on me. And there's especially some things I like about this one, which we will get to momentarily, that blow me away for this price. But really cool little design. I really do like it. It does not run on bearings like a lot of Ruikes do. It runs on phosphor bronze washers, thumb stud deployment. Pretty cool knife, I do have to say. One problem with it, but we'll get to that later. If you guys want to stick around till the end, you'll see I do have one issue with it, but and it's a pretty significant one. But other than that, it's a really cool knife, and Ruike is still. I can't believe it took me this long to review another Ruike. I'm so glad that you guys reminded me about these, because I do like Ruike stuff a whole lot. Let's do some stats first before we get too much farther. We are looking at an overall length of 8.1 inches, blade length of 3.6 inches. You have a blade thickness of just 0.12 inches, so pretty slim, and thickness behind the edge is right around 21 thousandths. It's a really hard measurement to measure, but that's what I got. So pretty thin, slicey little blade, and super sharp. You have a handle width of 0.47 inches and a weight of just 2.5 ounces, actually just a hair under that. So very light, slim, easy to carry little knife. Well, fairly large knife, I guess. 3.6 inch blade's pretty long, but as far as the other dimensions, we're going to call it a little knife. Let's do some size comparisons before we get too much farther. We have the Benchmade 940. This is a knife that just came to mind when I opened this up. It's just kind of that same sort of dimensions in a lot of ways. Obviously, this is infinitely more expensive, but you're looking at, by the way, 35 bucks for this thing. We'll get to that more at the end when I talk about it, but I was going to save that till the end, but let's get it out of the way. This is a budget knife. This is a very inexpensive, cool knife. All right, next up we will compare it to another knife that it reminded me of that I may actually do a comparison test with. Thinking about it, even though it costs almost twice as much, but the Real Steel Metamorph. It's also kind of in that same sort of design vein as the Metamorph is. Yeah, that kind of just slim little EDC, gentlemanly sort of knife. And then some standards, just to give you a general idea. You have your Spyderco Delica. Obviously a little longer than Delica, but much slimmer. And lastly but not leastly, your Ontario Rat Model 1. I chose the Model 1 because just the blade length is similar. But hey, this is a much beefier knife, but only a little bit longer. All right, let's get on to the actual review of this particular knife. Aesthetically, I think it looks pretty darn cool. I like the look of this Wharncliffe blade. I think it looks pretty sweet. I like the slim handle. I just think it looks very kind of Asian, Japanese, or something like that, and I really like that about it. It's just neat. I don't know how else to describe it. I just think it looks kind of neat. It looks kind of techno-y, but it still looks very classy. Much like I'd say the same things about the Metamorph. I really, really do like it. It's a very, very cool knife, aesthetically. And also, quality-wise. Ruike knocks it out of the park. Again, $35 knife, and lockup's really good. You're looking at, 40% lockup there. Blade centering's nigh on perfect. I've done absolutely nothing to this knife since I got it. The G10's all nice and smooth. There are no sharp edges where there shouldn't be. The pocket clip's very well done. The screws are pretty good, especially these pivot screw. This pivot screw is very well done. Yeah, it's a very, very well done knife. I'm not, the only thing aesthetically or quality wise, not a fan of the bead blast, but it's a budget finish. I mean, the 801 has the same thing. It's just, that's kind of just their standard finish. I would rather see a polished blade, or satin, maybe not necessarily polished, but satin blade at least. But yeah, very minimalist on the names and stuff. Yeah, I think it's a very cool looking knife, and it's very well put together. I do have to say, especially for $35, and quality material is great too. 14C28N, which is an awesome steel for this price. I think this is the steel that every knife should have at this price. Death B to 8CR13. 14C28N, everybody's doing it in China now. There's no excuse not to be using at least that. And it's a great steel. I have no issues with a 14C28N whatsoever. Holds an edge perfectly long enough. Still very easy to work on and very easy to get a really sharp edge on. Let's talk about the ergonomics of this knife. It is not its strong suit, but it's not bad. Obviously, this is slim design. This is kind of, I'm not going to say this is style over function, but it definitely is made to look cool, and you can tell that is one of the things they thought of a lot. And it does look cool, but it would be nice to have some kind of little choil or something to lock up on. But it's not bad. This G10 is not slippery at all. I don't think you're gonna have any problems with sliding forward. This isn't really kind of a stabby kind of knife at all. So yeah, I think you're gonna be okay with that. It's not bad ergonomics. It's decent. I would say it's probably slightly better than the Metamorph is in the same kind of category. But, maybe some extra jimping or something they could have done just to make it a bit more grippy. But other than that, it's fine. The handle length is definitely, it doesn't matter your size of hand. You're going to be able to fit on this thing. It's got a really good, significantly length handle. No real hot spots. You can feel the clip a little bit, but it's not objectionable or anything like that. Yeah, ergonomically, it's okay. And carry-wise, also, very slim, as I said, deep carry pocket clip. This thing is a joy to carry. 2.5 ounces. You're getting a good long blade in your pocket and something that is super easy to carry. Hand slides right by it. The carry is so nice on this, there's almost not much to say about it, except for that it's great. What there is a lot to say about is this blade. Wow. I mean, I like the shape of it. I'm becoming more of a Wharncliffe fan, but not even just talking about the shape. It depends on if you like that blade shape or not. As I think on our podcast that I'm not sure if it's out or yet by the time out or not yet, the third episode of our Slicey Dicey podcast that you can find on Slicey Dicey podcast on the YouTubes and on iTunes and all of your favorite places. Zelric mentioned also, someone was asking about deal killers and if blade shape would be a deal killer, and he said no, you just got to learn how to use that blade shape, and I do agree with that. I used to not like Wharncliffe's, and I'm getting so that I do, and I do really like this one. And this one especially, because remember, again, $35. I don't know if you guys have caught this in the pictures, but I have not sharpened this knife, and I'm going to try and hope that the camera picks this up. That is the stock factory edge on a $35 knife. A full, just polished edge on a $35 knife. Unfreaking believable. And it's not just this. The 848 that I will review shortly. Also, same thing. That's what you get from Ruike now. That's mind-blowing. I just can't believe for 35 bucks you're getting that perfect of an edge. Dead on even grind both sides. Just supremely well done. I mean, I've handled $800 customs that didn't have an edge that nice on them. It's just amazing. And as I said, I do like the blade shape. It is fairly useful. Wharncliffe is a like it or hate it thing, but definitely there are some things I do very much like about it. You have no belly whatsoever, just one straight edge. But the tip is still fairly robust on it. It's not ridiculously slim like you can get on some Warnies, but still fairly good for piercing tasks and stuff. Just blown away by the blade on this thing. I really am. For 35 bucks, that edge is just fantastic. My 801 SF is a little older, so I'm not sure. It doesn't have quite that perfect of an edge. It's still really good, but it's not quite as perfect as the other two, so I don't know if the newer ones are like that. I assume so. I assume that's just what Ruike is doing now, so wow. Good job, guys, on that edge. Just fantastic. And very slicey little knife. And it's held its edge pretty darn good also. So I think that and Ruike does a pretty good job with the heat treat on the 14C28. That's all they use, so they know what they're doing. Now, this knife does have one problem, and it's going to come here. The deployment on it, I don't mind the bushings as much. I do kind of wish this was one of the $40 Ruikes and had the ball bearings, but it isn't, because this would be nice if it was a super flicky little knife. It is not. But the problem I have with it isn't that, because you can still flick it out pretty good. That's fine. The problem I have with it is the thumb stud is very sharp, and it is also, as you can see, very close to the scale. The closeness to the scale, I think, isn't that big of a deal. You definitely can still drop your thumb in there. Maybe if they milled this back just a bit farther, it would make it even easier. But it's just really sharp, and I have horribly calloused, thumb stud thumbs from reviewing knives, so it doesn't bother me a whole lot. But I can definitely see why it would long-term use. One cool thing about it, though, that I did notice is it has this thumb stud is removable. So if you wanted to modify it, you could. I think if you ground it down, though, it would be even worse. It would exemplify the issue with this not being ground out far enough. So you'd probably want to do both if you were going to do that. But a nice thing about it is you could just remove that thumb stud, and this is an easy two-hand open knife. It would make it legal in a whole lot more places, make it legal all over Europe and things like that. So that's kind of cool. I do like that you could just remove this. It's just a screw-in thumb stud, so that's kind of neat. But yeah, overall, it has one problem there, the thumb stud being a bit sharp and not in a bit too close to the handle, which is a pretty significant problem, I'm not going to lie to you. But other than that, I love the look of it. I like the blade shape. I think some people aren't going to like it as much, but I like it. I've used it a whole hell of a lot, and it works great. Slices through, food prep, all that kind of stuff, really, really well. Yep, it's in 35 bucks, and that edge, wow, that edge is just. I'm so impressed with the edge on this thing. Let me show it to you one more time, because that is just. Look at the mirror on that. It looks like somebody spent an hour on a KME doing it, and it came out of the factory like that. It's just 35 bucks. That is mind-blowing. Really like this knife. Check it out. If you have thumbs that you don't, they're sensitive or whatever, you might not like it. But other than that, it's a great knife. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Bryan. Have a good one.